Hey everyone, and welcome to episode 102 of Piv's NXT Point of View podcast. My name is Bill Pivets. So this week we had the triple threat number one contenders match between Peyton Royce, Ember Moon, and Liv Morgan. The winner will face Asuka. Also advertised was Pete Dunne against Mark Andrews, and a main event of Bobby Roode against No Way Jose. So the women's triple threat match kicked off the show. Morgan got little to no reaction during her entrance, and it shows that she shouldn't have been in this match. Should have been either Ember Moon, Billie Kay, and Peyton Royce, or even just throw Nikki Cross in there instead of Liv Morgan. I'm confused on just what she's done to earn this spot. She defeated Billie Kay 2 weeks ago, sure, but she also took the pinfall in the tag team match last week. So I think those two kind of cancel each other out. If anything, if you don't want to make it a triple threat, eliminate Liv Morgan, just make it a one-on-one match between Ember Moon and Peyton Royce. Anyway, into the match, Liv Morgan did like a Matrix move to dodge a kick from Peyton Royce, then rolled her up for a quick 2 count. Ember Moon dove to the outside, landing on Morgan as Billie Kay pulled Peyton Royce out of the way. Royce then threw Ember Moon into the ring steps before the first commercial break, and that would probably be the last you see of Ember Moon for most of this match. Peyton Royce did keep her out of the ring for most of the match, kicking her off the apron as she focused on Liv Morgan. Liv made a comeback with a double stomp to the back. She then sent Ember Moon to the outside with a flying head scissors. Ember made it to her feet just in time to make the Tower of Doom spot, which ended up Peyton Royce superplexed Liv Morgan as Ember Moon sunset flip bombed her. Ember Moon went to the top, but Kay got involved and received the Eclipse. Liv tossed Ember Moon out to the outside. Peyton Royce then won with a jumping knee and a snap fisherman suplex. Not the way I thought that match would go. I thought this would be a showcase for Ember Moon to solidify herself as the number one contender against Asuka. But they still have a few weeks before they start building towards TakeOver Orlando. So they could probably get that ball rolling. But this was pretty much Peyton Royce's match, putting her on the map. Ember Moon disposed of early, rarely seen. Liv Morgan had a couple of hope spots, but that was about it. I did make a note that I expected this match to take place sooner rather than later, instead of waiting all the way until TakeOver. And they did announce that next week, Asuka will be defending her title against Peyton Royce. Now, the only thing I do wonder is how they do get to Ember Moon and Asuka. Does Ember Moon even the odds with Billie Kay likely on the outside? It'll be interesting to see, but as of right now, Ember Moon is a little lower on the card as far as a title shot. We got video packages for both Mark Andrews and Pete Dunne, and then a second Kassius Ohno hype video. They displayed a tweet showing Nakamura training at the Performance Center, quote-unquote getting closer to an in-ring return. They aren't fooling anyone. He's been wrestling on the house shows for the last couple weeks. They even tweeted about it. Finn Balor made a save for him at the house show a couple nights ago. They're just keeping him off NXT TV. Second match of the night, Mark Andrews versus Pete Dunne. Andrews he hit one springboard moonsault to the outside. He went for a second one, but Dunne dodged it and landed a vicious forearm to the jaw. He then continued with a release suplex onto the apron, which led to the first commercial break of the match. Andrews made a comeback with a springboard head scissors and a standing shooting star press. He later kicked out of a forearm and what they call an X-plex. Andrews countered another suplex into a hurricanrana for a great near fall. Dunne caught Andrews out of the corner, but Andrews countered with a stunner-like move, but Dunne blocked a shooting star press and won with what they call the bitter end. A good match after the first commercial break. I didn't see their first encounter in the UK tournament, but I have an idea of they went a little more out of the box with that match compared to this one. Mark Andrews will definitely be back. The crowd was behind him. They cheered for some of his spots and the counters that he did. Pete Dunne looks a little generic, but he's got that heel aspect going, and he's great in the ring too. So they could definitely build something with him until they launch the UK show. But as of right now, I think these guys are going to showcase themselves on NXT, including Tyler Bate and a couple others in the UK tournament. We got a vignette for Patrick Clark. Also announced for next week, DIY will challenge Authors of Pain for the tag team titles. Ty Dillinger was shown entering the Performance Center, giving an update on the feud with Sanity and his alliance with Roderick Strong and No Way Jose. Speaking of No Way Jose, it was now time for the main event with him and Bobby Roode. They toyed with each other a little bit in the early going. Roode ducked a punch and planted Jose with a spine buster, which went to a commercial break. Jose fired back with some chops and punches. He countered the DDT and landed a half Nelson. Roode went to the top, but Jose caught him with a nice uppercut. After the uppercut, Bobby Roode rolled out of the ring. Jose rolled him back into the ring, but he gave him just enough time to recover and landed the glorious DDT to get the win. Not the longest main event in the world, but it was more of a precursor to the after effects of the match. Roode thought about leaving, but he turned around and chop blocked Jose. He then locked him in a single leg crab. This is when Kassius Ohno's music hit. He ran down and made the save. Roode grabbed the mic. He asked who Ohno thinks he is to interrupt him. Ohno said he's nothing to mess with, and Roode did those scary fingers that like Scott Hall and the NWO did when they were quote-unquote threatened. Ohno mentioned that he's been in NXT before and he's traveled the world, and he said he had unfinished business here in NXT. Bobby Roode mocked Ohno. He said that he's a fighting champion and they don't have to wait. Ohno took off his jacket, but Bobby Roode attacked him from behind. Ohno fought back and clocked Roode with multiple elbows and then threw his shoe and clotheslined him over the top rope. As for the match, like I said, it was too short of a main event. Jose made his comeback at the right point, but Roode obviously wasn't going to lose his first match back on TV since winning the title. I do like the post-match stuff with Roode and Ohno. It puts Kassius Ohno right in the main event until Nakamura is back and ready to compete. And it gives Roode his next challenger as we wait for the eventual rematch between him and Nakamura. And as for Ohno, I always wonder what would have happened if he didn't leave NXT back when he did. According to Wikipedia, he was released around November of 2013. At that time, Bo Dallas was the champ, and he was feuding with Adrian Neville. If he stayed, I honestly think we could have seen some of the best matches. Considering the shape he was in back then, we could have seen Kassius Ohno, Adrian Neville, Ohno and Zayn, Kassius Ohno and Kevin Owens, and maybe even Ohno and Balor if they were flipping him between face and heel. Unless he was called up on the main roster by then, and then we could have probably seen maybe Kassius Ohno and Cesaro, a little Kings of Wrestling reunion. It's just interesting because he was one of the first big indie guys to come to NXT. Obviously, we've had Neville, who is Pac back in England. You have Tyler Black and Jon Moxley, who are Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose. Claudio Castagnoli, Cesaro. But Chris Hero was still one of the early guys to jump from the indies to WWE. And I think they definitely could have made him a star and grow NXT to where they are now. He definitely would have helped. This was more of a one-match show, though, with Pete Dunne and Mark Andrews. Clearly the best match. The main event was, like I said, more of a setup. But next week definitely looks like a good show with Asuka, Peyton Royce, and DIY Authors of Pain for the tag team titles. All right, guys, thanks for checking out Piv's NXT Point of View podcast. I'll be back next week with episode 103. Follow me on Twitter at bpiv_sports. Like, comment, subscribe to the show on YouTube. I'll check you back next week. Peace.